The Sega Genesis is home to plenty of fighting games. Some can be considered as hidden gems, and some might be unbearable to say the least. Regardless of how you feel towards these games, they gave birth to some of the most overpowered characters in fighting game history. Today, I'm going to go over 10 overpowered characters found within the Sega Genesis library of fighting games, but I should mention a few things before we begin. First off, this list contains characters found in fighting games that were released. Don't expect any characters found in prototypes, homebrew, or even unreleased titles. Second, the characters in this list aren't invincible. Other characters can defeat them, but they either don't have as many tools, or they require more execution to make them just as effective. Lastly, this is my opinion first and foremost. There are a lot of fighting games out there, and I didn't put an equal amount of time into all of them. If you know of a powerful character that's not in this list or you disagree with something in particular, please comment and let me know. With that said, let's start this off with our first character. Despite being a 2D arena fighter, King of the Monsters 2 does have some traits found in other fighting games. Combos, special cancels, just to name a few. But if there's one character that can take certain mechanics away from you, it's Beetlemaster. Beetlemaster can be described in one move, Poison Spike Attack. This grab has a simple command and deals average damage, but damage is not the reason you want to use this grab. The real reason is because it inflicts a few debuffs. It reduces the opponent's speed, disables their special moves, and it disables them from grabbing. This debuff lasts around 10 seconds and can be refreshed by grabbing them again. Just landing this grab once can give Beetlemaster full control of the match. Thankfully, you become invincible for a brief moment when getting up from a knockdown. If it wasn't for that, Beetlemaster would have been in a tier of his own. Even then, it can become a miserable experience when he grabs you. You may have plenty of room to keep him away, but Beetlemaster will make you feel cornered once he poisons you. I should technically call this game Gogetsuji Ichizoku, as it only got released in Japan for the Mega Drive. This plays more like a traditional 2D fighter, except all characters have the ability to backdash, forward dash, perform dash attacks, and even double jump. Then it can be considered powerful due to a variety of reasons, but two in particular make him one of, if not the best character in this game. First off, his dash punch is amazing. Good range, fast startup, and it can combo into normals that can also combo back into his dash punch for some powerful yet difficult loops. But the main reason is due to something that doesn't work in the arcade version, his Jubakufu. This move will immobilize the opponent, making them wide open to another attack. While the startup time isn't very fast, it's fast enough for him to combo this from a crouched light kick. This allows him to perform the easiest loop in the game. Corner the opponent, get an opportunity to land crouch light kick into Jubakufu, rinse and repeat until you win. If it's against a big character, he doesn't even need the corner to do this. Now do keep in mind that his best combos do require a lot of execution, and while his Jubakufu loop is amazing, there is one character who can't get hit by this loop. Nonetheless, Dinen is still powerful. He may be easy to pick up, but his skill ceiling and potential is incredibly high. It was hard to choose a character from this game. This is due to the game being played around grab loops. When an opponent is knocked down, you can grab them before they have a chance to act. It's not something all characters can do on the default settings, but if there's one character who's considered the best at doing this, it's April O'Neil. This is mainly due to her backdrive elbow. It's an incredibly fast overhead that has almost no recovery and will knock down the opponent on hit. As such, this can lead into a grab loop, meaning she can win by landing this move once. Since her other moves aren't very good, this gives her a somewhat predictable, yet very simple game plan. Her elbow can be stopped, but it's not easy. Whether you think April is the best or the worst, consider this. This isn't a case of whether or not April is going to elbow you, but rather if you're ready to react to it. If you aren't, then you're done for.
Shock. Welcome to the Fight Palace.
This early fighting game does have some neat ideas in terms of the gameplay. To knock down the opponent, it either takes 3 hits or a jump attack. When they get up, they'll be immune to being knocked down for a brief moment. This was definitely intentional due to the fact that this game has no blocking. You can also buy items that give you an edge in battle, but let's pretend they don't exist. Especially since shield negates every other item and makes this mechanic useless. So what makes Mondu special? That's right, if he jumps into you, there's a chance that you will instantly lose all of your health. He can do this by either jumping normally, or he can turn around and bounce endlessly towards you. Did I mention that these jumps can cause a knockdown from full screen? And with that, I pretty much said all you need to know about Mondu. He has some decent normals, don't get me wrong, but they're nothing compared to winning the match outright. The only thing holding him back is his jump being inconsistent and some matchups requiring a different strategy. His jumps may not always work, but when they do, he ends up being one of the strongest characters the Sega Genesis has to offer. If you don't know, Virtua Fighter 2 on the Sega Genesis is a 2D fighting game. Despite this, it does share some traits of the arcade game it's based on. High attacks can be ducked, mid attacks must be blocked high, and low attacks can only be blocked while crouching. Due to how juggles work in this port, plenty of characters can win off of one move, but Jackie stands out as he has something that no one else has. Now when you look at Jackie's move list, everything seems normal. That it is until you find out that you can cancel the recovery animation of back P by pressing K. This leads into the easiest infinite in the game. All you have to do is hold back, then alternate between pressing P and K. Do this and you'll have a high attack that combos into itself. But it gets even better, he can also cancel the low version. To do this, you have to press down back P each time you cancel it with K. Once you get used to this one, you have both a high and low that combos into themselves. Jackie can also win off a mid attack, and when combined with his high and low infinite, he is easily the best character in this game. Dare I say, in Virtua Fighter history. I'm not sure how to explain this game. All you need to know is that highs and lows might not exist, the game's full of a lot of oddities, and the fact that Superman is absolutely broken. The main move that makes Superman stand out is his Earthquake Slam. Not only is this move unblockable, but also combos into itself as an OTG. Even though his opponent can avoid it by jumping, Superman still has access to other moves. He can use Freeze Breath on both ground and mid-air opponents, Flying Thrust Punch, which leads into the Earthquake Slam loop, or even better, he can grab the opponent, immediately cancel the grab animation by performing flight, then knock them down to start the loop. Or he could just leave them there and wait out the timer. I really don't have to say any more than that. I think you can agree when I say that Superman truly lives up to his name in this sport. Some of you might not know that this port of Primal Rage is based off an older version of the arcade game. It did a good job at replicating the gameplay, but one character in particular ended up being way too strong, and that's Talon. Talon can be defined by 2 moves, Run and Face Ripper. Run is a special move that allows him to move faster on the ground by holding the buttons. Since this is technically a special move, he can instead tap those buttons to cancel the recovery of his normals and go into another normal immediately. This opens up insane combo routes and block strings that will let him win off of one interaction. If you thought that was broken, Face Ripper is even better. Not only is this command grab easier to perform, but it can be used in combos, resets the combo counter, can be followed up with a slide, and it can loop into itself in the corner. Don't get me wrong, Talon can be defeated due to this game's high damage, but there's no doubt in my mind when I say that Talon is the best character in this game. There isn't much to say here due to this game being played around unblockables. Heavy attacks done on the ground are universally unblockable, and all characters have some kind of unblockable special move. It's as broken as you think it is, but you can lower the damage of these attacks by entering block. So what makes Dalai Lama stand out? Well, the answer is Smoke Attack. This gap closer is not only unblockable, but also makes him completely invincible until he recovers. There is one character who has a move of similar traits, but is nowhere near as impressive as Smoke Attack. Even then, Dalai Lama still has plenty of other tools to use. Considering this game is played around unblockables, I guess you could say that Dalai Lama is truly the master of unblockables. VR Troopers is a rather interesting case. Even though this game doesn't have real combos, it does have a cooldown system. Performing a special move will put you on a cooldown where you can't perform any special move until it wears off. How long this will last will depend on the move used, and it will vary from character to character. You can turn off cooldowns by setting the difficulty to kids mode, but let's assume we're playing on a default setting. Darkheart is definitely a contender for one of the strongest characters in fighting game history. This is mainly due to him having the best move in the entire game. Shield is a 5-second install that gives not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 buffs. The damage of his normals attack deal as much as special moves, all of his normals become unblockable, he can hit the opponent just by walking into them, and he can reflect moves that make physical contact. This move turns him into a rushdown machine that is near unstoppable while it's active. The only way to deal with this move is to keep him away or charge in when it goes on a 2-second cooldown. But you can't deny the inevitable for long, as he can activate the shield at any time, even while he's knocked down. And don't even get me started on how he can go invisible before activating this buff. Darkheart can be considered the definition of a walking hitbox. You're definitely gonna have to put this game on kids mode in order to stand a chance. Before we talk about the last character, here are some honorable mentions. While I have played these games before, I didn't put enough time into them to be certain on how truly strong they are. As you guess from the title, this could be considered a wrestling game. You can perform strikes, grabs, holds, and you can perform a special move after a certain amount of time passes. But unlike most wrestling games, there are no pins. Your only goal is to knock out the opponent 3 times. This is usually done by dealing damage and then landing your special move, but there are cases where you can knock them out otherwise. So what's going on with Federico? Simply put, Federico is tiers above the rest of the characters. It's immune to grabs, it's the only playable character to have a strike that can hit from all angles, has the fastest strike in a game with no blocking, a disjointed tail attack, can put you in hit stun indefinitely by mashing one button, requires no skill or knowledge to learn, and has one of the best supers in the game. Did you see that? Let's check it again. Its super is a laser that is almost impossible to react to. That's bad enough, but the range of this move is what makes it ridiculous. In front of Federico, you're getting hit. Above or below, you're getting hit. So far away that you're not even on the screen, you're still getting hit. It's possible to avoid this move with a running attack, but even then, Federico could just wait until he knocks you down with his flurry of headbutts. I saved Federico for last because I honestly can't stress how strong this character is. It really comes down to both skill and knowledge. Most of the characters in this list aren't as broken if you don't know how their game works or you don't play fighting games often. But Federico is a character that doesn't require any of these factors. And before you say that the only one who can stop Federico is itself, this game has no mirror matches. I know this isn't a top 10 video, but I can easily say that Federico is without a doubt the strongest fighting game character on the Sega Genesis. Thanks a bunch for watching. I don't normally do videos like this, but it was a long time coming considering my experience with Sega Genesis fighters. I still got a lot to learn and there are plenty of fighting games waiting to be explored. If you have any interest in Sega Genesis games, please consider subscribing. I mostly make videos on Sega Genesis games and I do everything possible to learn just how deep these games can be. Until then, I'll see you next time.